Hey guys, this is Zen. Basically, this video is going to be about Guild Wars. It's just going to be me talking and a little backdrop of my Hugo character here. Basically, I just wanted to go over some tips, tricks, and stuff like that for Guild Wars. Maybe it'll help you out, maybe it won't. Um, so without further ado, here we go. You all know where the Guild Wars area is. It's right up here in the guild. India Guild Wars. And basically, if you have a team or if you're pugging, we like to call it like random groups for Guild Wars and stuff like that for your guild. Basically, what you're gonna do is go on a party list, hit your public, create your party, hit up your chat, see what they're saying, blah blah blah, reopen, that kind of stuff. So that's what you're gonna do. Then what you're gonna want to do too is communicate. You're going to want to keep good communication, whether it's during game, pre-game, whatever the case. I mean, a lot of people go on Discord, a lot of other people play on, uh, line voice chat, stuff like that. And basically, you're going to want to go over a few things. One thing that I like to go over with my teammates is kill order. What characters you want to face off first. And basically, the order that I like to go in is first Kiki, second Lena, third Lucas, fourth Anika, and fifth Hugo. Mainly, the last one, Hugo, he's last. He's really high in defense most of the time, and so and even oftentimes a lot of people have defense or HP builds. So he tends to go last just because he could be a nuisance, but you can't really down him that quickly. Your characters of Kiki and Lena, those are big characters on support and specifically on peeling off their teammates. And basically, so you want to go for them a lot faster than you would the melee characters, just because they can kind of stand back and still do damage. And it's kind of like if, nobody's going to do anything about that, they can always peel and no damage is being done to them. So that's kind of troublesome. Um, Again, it's good to have them in your group. And if nobody's focusing them, odds are if you're evenly geared and evenly matched, you're probably going to win. Focus on your Kiki and your Lena. And basically, the reason I put Kiki first is because she damages a lot slower. She's a little bit more easy to counter, and so it's a little bit more easier to find those peels to focus her, and then you know uh, eventually down her, and then eventually you want to move on to the next one, which would be Lena, and she attacks faster. It's a little bit less easy to counter, and so that's why I didn't want to have you guys focus on her before Kiki. Next, I would go Lucas. He tends to be like just like Kiki, Lena, and Anika. Lucas tends to be a glass cannon, and but what I mean by that is basically high in attack, low in defense, and so you want to focus him because he tends to silence a lot and all that kind of stuff. That's one of the main skills that they use, and so yeah, you want to focus him down so that he's not doing that. And then last but not least is Anika. Anika tends to pull everything in, kind of in a way an extra CC if you want to, it's like kind of controlling position, which is actually a good thing. And but I tend to see her being a little bit more defensive sometimes, kind of like a Hugo. So there are more builds, that out there that are defensive and stuff like that for her. So basically, focus her almost last, and then of course Hugo last, just because he's basically a tank, um, depending on how his skill build is. Anyway, another thing that I wanted to check out was position in game. So the the Guild War is basically a 3v3 battle, and it's an arena battle. So you want to keep your positions right, and that's another thing to communicate to your teammates. And it's like, well, you kind of want to spread out because if somebody is getting comboed like your teammate, you don't want to be right next to them because then you're going to get comboed too. And then their people are doing, more damage to your group than you are to them, and they might win. So if you keep it spread out, even if you're melee, you have more chance of peeling off for your teammates, making that big play, and turning the tides. And so there are skills. A lot of people, I think it's an obvious to say a lot of people go with the three types of crowd control whenever they're PvPing in Guild Wars. And crowd control, I mean, I call that CC basically, just like back in my WoW days. CC is crowd control. It's either stun, knock down, or knock up. And basically, you want to conjunction that with your teammates. Like if somebody's using a stun, after they're done using the stun, or if you're deciding to skill during when they're using a skill, which is actually kind of a bad idea, and I'll tell you why in a sec, you tend to not wake them up. And that's the main issue is you don't want to wake up your enemies because then they can use their skill. They can turn the tides, they can counter you, and then they can start comboing and skilling you guys so that you have, you can't do anything. You just have to take hits. So basically, if you see somebody using a stun skill, and this goes into the animation of the characters, basically, if they use a stun skill, you want to use one on top of them, um, or after, or anything like that. But if you use something that, let's say your friend is stunning your enemies, and then you use a wake up skill, well, you can act, or sorry, not a wake up skill, like a knock up skill or a knockdown skill instead of a stun, you can wake up your enemies, and that's bad. So basically, you want to keep the same type of skills going on top of your enemies that your teammates are doing. So let's see, position for Guild Wars. Basically, you want to focus on that. Spreading out, doing what you can, dodging around. Some people have different play styles. Some people want to tank. Some people want to, do a bunch of damage and support. Some people want to dodge in and out and get in, hit, get out. Um, all good, all good. It just depends on how you do it and how you go about doing it. Like, for instance, if you're gonna skill and then dodge out, and then skill and dodge out, and skill and dodge out, you might need to tell your team that, or you might need to play a little bit with them, and maybe you guys will learn something about each other. Other people just stand there, tank, and see if they can get a couple extra hits in there in between the combos and the skills, so that they can heal back up, so they can just take damage. Um, the way I actually start to play is I will, I'm more tanky, so what I'll do is I'll jump in front of combos that I know are going to happen so that I take the damage instead of my teammate so that they can peel for me easy, because I know their cooldowns are already up. And so another thing is how you push in the beginning of a guild war. Some people push. Normally, when you're going top 10, it's very difficult. Like I said before, I'm not a pro. And basically, so you don't want to get hit first, but if you do, there are ways of recovering from it, unless you're up against a really good guild or a really good team, I mean, and basically they combo their skills the right way to where you have no outlet. And so getting into that, basically, like I play a Hugo, and so whenever somebody comes at me, I have a chance to either dodge out, I can skill on top of their skill, or I can bubble, which is the part of the crest that I have, and makes me invulnerable for 1.5 seconds. And then so I'll bubble, and then I'll skill on top of that, and it's basically power over it. Power over is what they're doing, so that I can take advantage. And then so But my teammates also know to step back a little bit because, if I get hit, I'm the only one getting hit, and then they can peel off me. So it's not a bad idea. Um, Another thing is playing defensively. Right in the beginning, a lot of people sit in their main circle and don't go onto the bridge at all. And basically, you can do this and wait until they come at you and then skill over their skill. So there are ways of doing it. You can either play offensively or defensively effectively. Um, and that's basically either pushing or drawing out. Drawing out is you're getting them to attack and then hitting them. And then the pushing is you're going to try and go for that kill first. How I normally go for the kill first is I actually use two skills back to back because I'll use like my charge ability and it'll catch one guy and then it'll catch another, but then the third is going to peel off. Well, you know, his skill animation is going through, so I'm going to use my Roar of Annihilation, my stun basically, and then without comboing after my charge skill, so that I go from skill to skill, and then so that he can, or I mean, I can catch all of them in my CC, and then my teammates come in and do their work. Um, so that's how that goes basically. Another thing is one thing you guys want to kind of do research on is skill animations. Basically, there's three types of CC: the stun, the knock up, the knockdown. And you want to kind of get to know the animations for each character because you're fighting, each character. And occasionally you're able to know what's going on. You're able to know what your teammates are doing. And it's a little bit more easier, if you don't have that communication during Guild Wars. Um, so if you're, let's go for teammates info first. Basically, explain what I'm gonna say is, let's say your teammate is stunning a character, and I think I've said this before about waking them up. Um, if your teammate is stunning a character and you go up with a knock up skill, basically you're going to wake up your enemy and they're going to be able to counter you. Um, So you kind of want to stress the issue of doing the same skill that, or the same type of CC they are. And so, like, let's say my teammate's an Anika and they go up with their stun ability. They stun my enemy. Once they start comboing, I'm going to start using my stun ability so that they can, in their combo, my enemy doesn't get waken up and I can stun them and start my rotation, basically, of CC. And then the third person is going to jump in whenever I'm comboing with their stun. And they're going to start that rotation. And then after that, the first person that went in, the Unika, will go in with a knock-up ability. And then after they start their combo, then I will start my knock-up ability. Now that's perfect. That's perfect case scenario. It's not always going to happen like that. Sometimes it gets ugly. But that's if you caught all three and there's no way of them getting out of the CC, and you're keeping them tight and compact. And another thing about position that helps is if you have a third character and they're just damaging and stuff like that, maybe swoop around to the side, and that way if one of your enemies starts to veer off a little bit, they can push them in with a skill, or whatever the case is. So get to know your skills and the animations because then you'll be able to see what your teammate is doing. Let's see. Your opponents. It's good to know the animations of your opponents as well, just because of the fact that, if they're stunning you, you know that one, they only have a knock up or knockdown ability left. Well, okay. You have a Hugo with a shield. Um, He knows that he can pop that next, which means he can counter. So it's good to know. And then when you're watching, the animations, you know when your opponent is skilling or using a skill or comboing after that skill. And basically, when you realize they're comboing, you know when to pop your skill so that you can peel for your teammate and that you catch the enemy in a CC and then you can counter that way. So that's basically effective Guild Wars and how it works out. I mean, it is just a game. A lot of people are like, oh, don't take the game seriously and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's something I enjoy doing. It's something I like to help out with, and I'm just sharing the info I got. So if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe if you want. I'm putting out videos every once in a while. So, yeah, this is Zen again. So keep in touch and hope to see you soon. Talk to you later. Have a nice day.